Hey y'all, welcome to Back Porch Cooking and Reminiscing. I'm Roger, and as always, we are glad to have y'all here with us today. Y'all, this right here is a chicken recipe that got its name for a reason. It's juicy chicken in a rich and creamy garlic Parmesan sauce with sun-dried tomatoes. It's one pan, it's easy, and I'm telling you, somebody just might propose after dinner. Now, we're going to stick with a somewhat similar recipe to the traditional, but we're going to add a little southern ingenuity into it and make it a little bit more of a southern style. So, y'all stick with us and we'll be right back and get started on it. So, what we got here is we've got us two chicken breasts. One of them's fairly large, the other one's a smaller one. So normally in the recipe, it says to butterfly your chicken breast, but we're going to do something a little different. And again, that's where this southern ingenuity is going to come in at. All right, so instead of butterflying them, I'll put it in a Ziploc bag, and we're going to take our trusty meat mallet and we're going to hammer it out and make it really thin. So this is going to be a little loud, and I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing, but just kind of to show you what we're going to do. All right, so you've seen how we're going to do it, so I'm going to cut the camera off and go ahead and get these hammered out. Got them hammered out, and you can see how big that they are now. They're probably about maybe a eighth of an inch thick, something like that. Now we're going to season them a little bit. And now again, this is where some of our southern ingenuity is going to come in at. So we're using garlic powder, salt, pepper, and I use just a little bit of blackening seasoning. So that's going to change things up just a little bit. So we're going to cover our chicken with all of these spices here. And we want to do both sides, so don't use it all on one side. Now, like I say, we're going to still stick with the pretty much the original recipe. We're just going to do a couple things, which one was instead of butterflying it, we hammered it out. So that's one thing. All right, let's just rub that in a little bit. And let's turn that over. Get our other side ready here. Trying to do this with one hand because I don't have a glove on the other hand. All right, got that turned over there. And now we just get us some more seasoning here. Get some on this other big old piece over here. Tell y'all, that came out to be a good sized piece of chicken. All right, so we got them seasoned up, and now we'll get into our next step. So in our cast iron skillet over here, I've got 2 tablespoons of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of salted butter. And we're going to take our chicken breast and we are going to dredge them in some flour. Just get them coated good on both sides. That's going to give us a good brown coating on that when it starts to fry, and will be super, super good. All right, once you get it coated good, you're just going to put it in the skillet. Now this big breast, it was so big that I did go ahead and cut it in half. And so we're going to wind up with 3 chicken breast instead of just two, which that will be plenty for me and Audrey. And if you have to, just pick up some of that flour and just move it around to where that you can get everything covered good in the flour. Just kind of move it around because you want to get it all good and coated. All right, that's got that piece. We'll just put that one in there. And then we'll get our last piece. We'll get it all coated up with flour. Now, something I probably haven't warned y'all about when you're using cast iron is that you got to really watch your temperature because it will get hot on you fast and you'll wind up burning something. So just really got to pay attention. All right, that's got our last piece. We'll get it in the pan. Kind of move things around a little bit so we get everything in there. And so now that we've got that in the pan, that's what it looks like. And now all we're going to do is we're going to cook this probably about, no, maybe around 4 minutes on each side at a medium high heat. And so we'll be back when we got that part finished. So we cooked that first side about 4 minutes. So let's go ahead and give them a flip and see what they look like. Oh, that is pretty. That is just what we want them to look like. All right, we're going to give it about 4 minutes on that side. Then we'll be ready to take them up for now. So these have cooked on the other side for about 4 minutes, and I temp checked them there. They're at 165, so they are ready to come up. And yes, I did flip my cutting board over so we don't have raw chicken on this side. So we're just going to take those off and we're just going to put them to the side for right now. All right, and now we're going to get ready to make our gravy. So while your pan's hot, you want to take your garlic and you want to put your garlic in the skillet and just kind of let it cook for a few minutes until you can smell it starting to smell really good. And that don't take probably about 30 seconds for that to do that. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your chicken stock, give it a good stir before you pour it in there. All right, and then we're going to just pour our chicken stock in there. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do what they call deglaze our skillet. And that's to scrape up all those little brown particles because that's where all the good stuff is at. So just take your wooden spoon and just go around your skillet and get all that good stuff scraped up in there. And if you feel any spots, just keep scraping till you don't feel spots anymore. All right, so we got that done. So now we're going to pour in our 1 cup of heavy cream. And that's what's going to make the sauce. And just take your spoon and just stir it around. And that flour that we put on the chicken before we put it in the olive oil and the butter, that's going to help this sauce to thicken up really nice. All right, so we're going to leave that just kind of simmering there for a few minutes. And then we'll get on to the next step. So our next step is going to be to put in our sun-dried tomatoes, and it's a 1/2 cup. And these are sun-dried tomatoes in oil. And then we're going to put in our half a cup of Parmesan cheese. All right, and then we're just going to give everything a good stir and get everything incorporated in. And then we're going to just let it simmer for a little bit. And then we'll put our chicken back in. All right, so that's where we're at the moment. So we've let our sauce simmer for about now somewhere around 4 minutes or so, and it's starting to get thick. So now we want to put our chicken back into the mix. So we'll get our chicken here and just move it around in there, get it all coated on the bottom. All right. And then we're going to put our last piece in there. I'm telling you folks, this sure is smelling good. If it tastes as good as it smells, we're going to be in pretty good shape. Now you can take this and turn it over so we get some of that sauce on both sides of the chicken, or you can take a spoon and just spoon it on there. And now we're going to let that just sit there and simmer while our chicken heats back up. And it won't be too much longer. We'll be ready to eat. So y'all, this has been simmering for about 10 minutes now. So now it's time to put a plate together, and then we're going to get to taste it and see how it is, see if it really would make you want to marry somebody or not. Now you can put this over a lot of different things. You can put it over um, any kind of pasta, spaghetti, linguine, um, rice, mashed potatoes. But I had some leftover egg noodles, so I'm going to put mine over egg noodles. But the first thing we want to do before we do that is let's give us a little bit of this sauce and just kind of drizzle it over top of these egg noodles. And then we're going to just kind of mix that sauce into the egg noodles. Again, it smells good. I'm not sure about how the taste is going to be, but the smell is awesome. All right, so we're just going to mix this over top of the egg noodles. And you do the same thing if you were using spaghetti or any other kind of pasta. You just do the same thing as what I'm doing right there. I'm gonna put that spoon right there because we may want to get us some more of that juice here in a minute. All right, and I'm gonna pick this one right here, and we're just gonna put it right over top of those noodles. And so, in the beginning, I told you there was a few things we were going to do a little bit different. So now the actual recipe calls to garnish this with fresh basil. I actually went to the store yesterday and was going to get fresh basil. They didn't have any. So, being the southern cook that I am, I'm going to garnish mine with just a little bit of chopped green onions. And like I say, that ought to make it taste a little more like a southern dish than something from Italy or somewhere. All right, y'all. So, I got to let it cool for a minute, and then we will come back and we'll give it a taste. So, Audrey's already come and got her some, and she's tried it. And first question I asked her is, I said, "Well, if I made this for you, would you have married me?" And she said she thinks probably most definitely. So now I'm gonna give it a try here. I've got some noodles here and got us a good piece of chicken, got some of the roasted tomatoes. So let's see how it is. Mm. So I have to say, it is pretty darn good. the chicken with the Parmesan cheese and the heavy cream, garlic. Chicken's as tender as it can be. Um, I used a knife to cut it, but I'm not even sure that you'd have to have a knife to cut it. It's so tender. Sauce is creamy. Um, so everything we did to it that we changed just a little bit, I think it definitely made an improvement to it, at least for a Southern boy anyway. So y'all take this recipe and make it for yourself. I'll leave you the full recipe in the description, and I think y'all will enjoy it. So, as I tell you all the time, make it for your family, share it with your friends, and they're going to love you for it. All right, y'all. Remember, hit that like and subscribe button. Share our videos with your friends, and we will see you next time. I'm gonna go eat me some marry me chicken and some egg noodles. Y'all have a great one.